just to show y'all what I'm adding to my kombucha, not kombucha tiller. It's my fermentation. Fermentation. What's it called? My mash jar. That's what I'll call it. I already added a scoop of salt. Add a bunch of manganese. That's aluminum there. It's pure aluminum. It's not just aluminum. It's aluminum with all the plastic burned out of it. A good amount, a good mass of magnesium. Just a couple more. Yeah, that's good there. Piece of lead, magnesium, all this aluminum. It's a lot of aluminum. I should probably half that, is what I'm being told. Yeah, put this to the side. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. A couple more things of magnesium instead. Magnesium is a bit of a safer element. I can transmute it all. Alright. Now this carbon's fine. This is basically, it's very, fermentation's a very easy way to keep things basically alive and fresh forever. Hold on. Let me make sure that my, day. There we go, that's a bit better. So, yeah, got my regular, add all that to there. That basically the heavier weight falls at the bottom. I'll add sugar to this. I'll add sugar to this, because sugar basically turns into vinegar, acetic acid. No, it's acetic acid. I'm so tired right now. But that basically helps to jumpstart the fermentation process, gives the live culture something to feed on, the yeast, and that'll basically break down any metal that's within there. Doesn't matter what it is, gold, platinum, silver. I've got a gram of silver in there. 1 gram of silver. I've got another length of the iron, and basically whatever steel that I find that is like too worn out or too beaten up, too misused, too damaged, I'll put that in there as well. I got like a whole tent peg steak, one of those cheap ones that you buy. Got that one of those in there as well. Let's see, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll take that, start down. Probably add some water. I'll add another scoop of salt. Namek black salt is very good. It's very healthy. It's very mineral rich. Please use it responsibly, because this is literally dead bodies. Rani black salt, yeah. It comes from an ancient seabed. Kala Namek. It's basically a great war that was fought. Thousands upon thousands of people died. And, yeah, basically they all crystallize. All the bodies crystallize out. That's why it tastes sulfur as it does. It tastes like sulfur. And, so this is just pure water, basically. I like using these because I know that they're pure. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with these bottles. Nothing contaminated or tainted. And I'll take some bread. Aluminum's floating to the top. Cool. And that will indefinitely keep. I'll add 2 pieces of toast bread, because it's full of like sugars, which I don't really need. They use cheaper cane sugar. It's not the most nutritionally rich. Okay, there we go. I'll soak that all down, break that all down. It's basically my mash jar. It's full of beans, full of spelt. Like on the Matrix. Yeah, like on the Matrix. Ooh, that's kind of salty, good. Like on the Matrix, they basically have that like mash. It's called mash. It's a combination of elements. It's literally just grains, beans, and oil, salt, with a lot of sugar that's been fermented out. So it's very acidic. It's got a high acidic content. It restores your acid balance. It makes you healthy. It's very easy to stay well. That's basically what I have here. It keeps indefinitely. It never goes bad. I don't need refrigeration with this thing. I shut my refrigerator off. I don't use it. I don't need it anymore. Oh, I do add a bit of hemp seed oil to this. Let me just go and get that. Thanks, Mom, for this. Thanks, Mom, for all this. I basically owe everything to you, don't I? So, let me just show you a bit of that process as well. Okay. Okay. Basically, once I add the sugar, I try to keep the exposure to a minimum. There you go. That oil on top helps basically keep things from evaporating too fast, because it starts generating alcohol, which I want to keep. It's very useful. It's energy. It's very good primal energy. I don't want to waste that if at all possible. Every time I open this thing, I basically breathe the vapors in, because otherwise they just disperse out into the atmosphere. Wasted. It's energy. But mostly the biggest benefit is acetic acid. Hell yeah. That's becoming iron rich. Fuck yeah. I'm going to add a bit more magnesium, because it needs it. I'll just show you guys later, but... oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. That's awesome as hell. Some more magnesium. More magnesium, more magnesium. There you go, there you go. There you go. Okay. Okay, pretty generous with that. Yeah, please don't follow suit and try to eat this without any energy awareness, without any transmutation skills or abilities, because you will fucking poison yourself, guys. It's not meant for the normal human consumption. It's meant for masters. That's why it's called MASH. What else have I got? Yeah, that's pretty much it. If I have anything else, I'll add or update it to you guys. Just made dinner. Just made my own freaking spelt bean toast thing. That's mostly just bean spelt oil and toast, but yeah. It's a quick foray. Basically, some of these elements, that's a piece of platinum, piece of zinc, a couple meteor rocks, more zinc, piece of gold. And what I had this in was one of these. Basically, this is a 2-liter container. I'm going to add this to the kombucha tiller. Not the kombucha tiller, mash container, I guess. But yeah, it's a piece of platinum. Awful expensive it was. Didn't realize I could just use basically lead instead. Lead's a lot cheaper. It's very hard to cut to grind this. Piece of gold. One of the many pieces I have. And yeah, pieces of zinc as well. The zinc is probably actually more valuable than the gold is, honestly. Gold is just kind of a minor consideration. And that's pure zinc. Melted it from cast pennies. And this basically meteor rocks, because they're heavy melted elements. You've seen some of it's pitted the surface where the acids haven't acted upon that. Now I'll add that to my mash container, and this will become part of my body, part of my mastery process, I guess you could say. Damn, goddamn, that's not what I was thinking about at all. That's not what I was expecting at all. That whole heatsink that covers the entire motherboard. No wonder there's no signal going through. Guys, it's terrible. Just want to take this all off. Look at that Wi-Fi card. Take the metal off. Take that metal off. Expose all of this. That RAM's all covered up, guys. It shouldn't be that way. Lol. That's better. That's what I wanted. Yeah, those are the ones I wanted to free up. Especially. There was a hunk of metal that basically mounted the Wi-Fi antenna onto about right here. Just covering up that chip as well. Took that chip off, took that metal off. That's the antenna. Antenna number 2. I'm just going to surround all this in just cardboard, plastic and cardboard. Just be done with it. That was fairly effortless. Took the shield off. Right now. That's the You're just gonna have to watch me then. Yeah, I won't be using my camera, my phone microphones anymore. Well, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I wish I could link top comments. I wish I could link some comments or screenshot them. My daddy, great-great-grandfather, fought in the Gettysburg War. And here I am watching a kid fix up his bag. Pretty neat. Hey, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, he's not on drugs. At least he's not, I don't know, hurting other women. I mean, at least he's not... I mean, the kid's literally trying to better his life, and it's like the most obvious thing, and it's just... But yeah, same thing with my parents. They basically spent all their lives scrimpting and saving, raising up money to live a certain lifestyle, to live atex, to try to break away from the system, basically, so they wouldn't have to work so hard. And now they've saved up. Basically, at the end of it, they're looking at it as, what the hell is it all for? What's it all about? They haven't supported their children. They haven't supported their families. They have all this wealth saved up and all these resources, and they're not using it on their children, which they should be. And they're wondering why life isn't meaningful or worthwhile. Perhaps if your father died for some cause or has suffered great expenses, great pains, as we almost all have, perhaps we should be doing something worthwhile with that time, you know, instead of just complaining and dogging other people down. But I needed to hear those words in that full context. I just say what I said to him, to you, my friend. I didn't mean that in any heat or any ill wish or ill manner, ill pose. If that makes any sense. I'm sure you didn't either. Our entire system is insulting. It's not honoring to life. Our system itself is insulting to life. And here I am trying to break it. Literally. You're seeing only the tip of the iceberg, the surface of the process. You're not seeing everything that I do, or feeling everything I do in energy. So it's probably going to be a lot harder for you to believe these things than most. And the people who actually know me and who know what I do. And so the reason I'm taking apart these things, is because you can see it's shrouded in metal that blocks access to your teams, to your souls, which basically keep the oscillations and timings. They keep the oscillations and timings synchronized. Without that matchup rate at tens of thousands of cycles a second, these things would fail. These things would stop working. They would fall apart. They would fail. They wouldn't fall apart. There's a reason why things do fail sometimes, is because you basically tire them out. We tire them out. And all this is really not necessary. It's not needed. These things run cooler without these. You know, they actually run cooler without these. Your memory cards as well, they will run cooler without those metal heat plates. So long as they themselves don't produce too much heat to begin with, which all of them don't. Memory, especially memory nowadays, is very efficient. It doesn't produce much heat. It will run cooler. You're not having to force as much energy to and through it. So what I'm looking for specifically is these things. They are called integrated circuit chips, IC chips. That's what I call them. They require a high frequency, high timing, and high command. Usually the higher voltage your power supply, the less dicking around that has to go, the less dilly mongering that has to be basically to work up the voltage, to monitor it, to basically have it in frequency, to chop it up, and there's less that has to be going on. So probably leave most all this there, because even though
It's better to have something filling in that space than just empty space. Empty space is a very poor conductor of heat. So pretty much after I've taken all that off, I'll take it and just put it right back in the power supply. And it will run cooler this way, and it'll run safer, and will take much less energy from our teams. Yeah, guys, I'm the fucking incarnation of Jesus Christ. And I've probably done more to honor your systems, your families, mine, than most. Basically breaking you guys out of the darkness, out of the silence, out of the mire of darkness that we're all experiencing, have experienced for eons, for generations. And so if those haven't clearly said, or if those things aren't clearly known, they are now. They are now. Yeah, all this metal. Your angels, your teams, they're your souls. They have to reach through this. They have to reach through this, and it's like it takes so much energy just to force what they are through this. It takes almost 3 times as much energy. Now that all this is removed, this is going to operate so much better. I'm going to seal this up with hot glue. Just let it run. Let it run on its own. So this is a 20 volt power supply. This is for my Lenovo desktop. Alright. It's probably a little too early for clearing. I'm going to need to get some greens. Yeah. I'll be right back, actually. It's that area, hot glued over. This area is threaded and hot glued. And the reason I have it like this is because it basically bonds the two pieces of fabric together in a sense. It makes it a little more stiff, a little more rigid, as well as even if this border were to completely fail, this bag would still be attached just due to all of these threads. Just basically the amount of threading that I have. That's basically the whole point behind that. And this bag is very rigid. It's attached firmly onto this. It's now part of this thing, this whole top piece. Once I flip inside out, it'll make a little bit more sense when I start showing you guys how the whole thing comes together. So this is basically what I was talking about. See, now it's actually front side out. It's got this big old compartment in here. It's good for like clothes and stuff, clothes and gloves. This whole compartment, basically this top cavity right here doesn't really get utilized unless you pack it to the brim, and I don't really want to do that. I want to have access to my tools and things. That's why I have this bag on the front. If this bag had more storage, I could put a bag right here, I could put a bag right here, and I could put a bag right on this lip as well. I'm actually thinking about doing that because this bag honestly isn't that much use to me otherwise. I want it to basically be my tool bag. That's pretty much going to make it this just a nice little big compartment. It could be hold for general storage things, maybe like soaps and things, small tools. But there's no individual organization. You see, there's no fucking like pockets and shit. You know, there's no like things for like smaller tools to like to stay organized. Except on the front, this bag right here. This long side pocket's really nice, but I mean it's just for huge items. What about all the smaller things? What about stuff like can openers and things? My little tiny P51 can openers. And so, yeah, I've got a couple of these bags, a couple more of these bags. I'm thinking about attaching it to some of these parts, to some of the here. Make a little bit more use of my storage space, my compartments. Because organization is key. If you just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 big ass areas which to store things. You got one more, 8 big ass areas which to store things, and that's all that you have. There's no room for small tools, small knickknacks like screws and bits and things. You know, it's just anyway. So what I'm gonna do? I'll just tell you guys later. One of the things I want to do is hot glue this entire backside, because basically I took out the fabric pocket that was only that only limited the space to about right here, and it cut it off. You couldn't stuff anything up inside this. Now, like, you have almost twice the storage area of, like, you can put softer things, like, towels or towelettes or, I don't know, anything, just about. Fuck, I don't know what you could put back there, but basically it makes this part really exposed, and if it tears, the back part of this fabric is very thin, so I'm going to reinforce it with basically hot glue. It's basically a way to basically add a layer, protective layer. Even if something pokes through that, it's not going to rip through the hot glue and that fabric almost immediately. That hot glue is going to keep things together. It's going to toughen things up. Same with this front face as well. It's not supposed to look the most pretty. Basically, this thing covers this thing up the whole time. That's pretty much why I made it like that. And just fuck it, just because if it's functional, it works, you know? I've got to reattach. I've got to make sure that this thing is a little more attached firmly to this bag. The smaller bag, I've got to put a little, what's called a divot across there, something that stops the zipper from falling down and through. And with that wire though, that wire makes this bag way more stiff, way more rigid. So this thing isn't like flopping, wobbling around. It has some support now. It's that one bar, 110 gauge copper bar. And I wanted it copper because it's going to be bent many times. I want it to be moldable, just in case things were, I don't know. Okay. And the reason why I had it reset like that is because it was too tight, that bar was too tight. It wouldn't have really allowed for easy closing and access. Now I can do this one-handed without a big struggle. If that thing was like stretched completely across the top, like both sides, it would be a little bit harder to open and close. A lot harder. And I can do this all just one-handed like this. I couldn't do this before with one hand. And when you got tools and you got things and you need to get in and out of this bag, this is basically my tool chest. It's my upright vertical tool chest, one that I can carry around with me on my back. It's really, this bag really is too much. It's much too heavy for much else except basically for hiking and transportation use. Transporting your goods, your storage, your wares, not groceries. This is a very poor grocery bag. Very poor. It's extremely heavy. Weighs a couple, 3 or 4 pounds. Who is that? Oh, it's a lady across the street. Oh. Chicken, not chicken, fish. Let's move on. Let's push that. All this is the food colors, everything. Makes it beautiful, makes it green, makes it lovely.
I'm gonna add this to my mash container as well, all of this, and this piece of lead. Hopefully this won't be too much iron at once, dissolving. But I do need to increase the rate drastically. And so, in it goes. Yeah, baby. I think I've given about a cup of sugar, 2 cups of sugar so far. That gives it that acetic acid and pretty much all else. And so pretty much all this as well. All these little bits of silver or zinc. I'm gonna add 3 copper coated pennies. In other words, this is zinc. That's not zinc. Basically, after you heat these things up with a blowtorch, take the pennies, you hold them in a vice grip, and you wait till it's melted, and you shake it. Make sure there's nothing burnable or flammable around, because it will burn through just about anything, because it does get pretty hot. This is essentially what I'm working with. I'm going to basically, instead of attaching to this bag to the inside of this, as I was thinking of doing, I'm going to attach it to the outside, to the back, to the front. You can hang outside like this and stay black along with this bag. I'll leave this right side open, but this entire left side, I'm going to take all this webbing off, both the front and the back of this. Just basically cut it off with a knife. I'll show you guys a little bit of that later. Give you a bit more extra storage space. Life's going okay. It's not all that bad, but we're just encountering a lot of obstacles with our parents, and yeah, it's just nuts out here, but that's okay. But yeah, that's my bag so far. As soon as it gets updated, I'll let you guys.
Dusty would say, it soothes the soul. Just hemp, by the way. It's not really cannabis, unfortunately. But it's more balancing. It's not as unbalancing. Oops. We need to give our teams full access to all things. We need to allow every input, command, and parameter to be open-ended so that whenever things escape our attention or when things go awry, they can input in on the process. They always do anyways when it comes to every process, every biological process of life. Just for some reason we don't let them, just because we've been taught to by our Illuminati. All of our hardwares and standards that we've been issued and implemented have been given to us by an older system, by the Illuminati. And so we are currently running on old hardware and setups
and standards which are not supportive or basically conducive to life, which are harmful to us just to basically even use, just to utilize, guys. And so this is why I've urged you to basically update the system, to overhaul the system, to completely start from scratch. Otherwise, you will probably continue to have problems like this, like failed spaceships and shuttles, failed systems. Operation and flight parameters and controls which don't work, which can't be inputted on, which can't be controlled. If you've missed it, we basically had, the reason we probably had a DC plane crash, the reason I say probably, because I don't really know for sure. I'm just intuitively guessing, sensing into things. I haven't exactly gone through the timeline myself. But when we enable and when we allow them to do so, when our parameters and hardware setups themselves basically allow them to participate in consciousness and energy, they will basically be able to save us from ourselves. They can stop us from hurting ourselves. They are the ones who keep us safe, normally, traditionally, always. Spirit, ancestry, the indigenous, we've always known this, we've always knew this. So, take this, stick this flat against this bag. I'm just going to take this top. These right 4 side layers completely off. Yeah, I'm taking them all off, completely. I can even leave a trace. Because all this webbing is not really needed. It doesn't really reinforce anything. It doesn't necessarily make anything stronger. I can't really use it for anything. The mold system itself, it doesn't attach firmly enough for my liking, for my taste. It adds extra weight, extra bulk, extra size, all of which is not needed, all of which is hindering. Cool. I sharpened this tip myself. I did not think it would cut this good. It's a very utilitarian tip, but it's sharp as fuck apparently. Compared to the other one. Shit, I need to sharpen that one as well. I sharpened on a piece of fucking sandpaper. 280 grit. But look what I can do, baby. If it's sharp, and it works, it works. Fucking cut those scissors on a piece of fucking angle grinder. I think it's like 600 grit, like 80 grit. It's like 60 grit or something. It's insane grit. But yet, it still cut my hair. It still cuts very well. I just can't fucking find the thing. I locate it, misplace it, but like every other day. I seriously find it. Because I don't have a storage system. Guys, if you just watch my videos, please just enjoy my videos and shit. Don't fucking, I mean, if you got problems, if you're gonna react, come to me. I'll clear you. I'll help clear you. Just say what you need to say. But just, goddamn it, like, how can you miss? I understand what Elia means by, like, it's very demotivating. It's very, like, people can't obviously see the good that you're trying to do or wanting to be, or you're just wanting to make people happy. You're just trying to be a part of your community. I'm not trying to compete against anybody except myself. I'm just leaving you guys a part of my process, part of my life. And so please treat it as that, to leave it as that. It's nothing special, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing otherworldly, it's just me and myself. Really out here in Macon, Georgia, doing whatever the fuck I can so I can leave without my parents killing me in the process. Because apparently they really don't give a shit. My mother's killed all the dandelions, pretty much killed all the green grass, all the greenery, all the vegetation here. Twice. Completely. I mean, she's annihilated it. She pulled it all up out of the ground. And for months on end, for about 5 months, for literally several months, I had no fucking food. This was before, like, this This happened kind of recently too. And we just now got to a place. I just told her we got to a point where I finally have some fucking food so I can fucking do things. And this is why it's taken so fucking long, mother. And she says, she wrote back to me, I'm going to kill them all. Like, I don't care. And it's basically what she said to me. I would let you, I'm just fucking updating the comments and shit. Fucking YouTube has recently updated their fucking shit. So basically the old apps don't work anymore. And it's going to be a lot harder for me to basically interact with you and to basically keep quick notifications and messages, except probably on Twitter. Twitter's about the only place where I can do it instantly, where it's an app where I can just slip, and leave a message and just... No, fucking YouTube, it's going to fucking it takes fucking forever, guys. It seriously does. There's no reason why they need to update it like this. Basically, make it so that only their newer systems and processes will work. It's not for security reasons. It's not for security reasons. If you want security, go after the attackers themselves. Go after the bots themselves. Not the fucking people. Not make it so goddamn hard for us to basically connect with their own communities. Because there's some people who can't move off of these devices right now. Myself included. And so if you're going to remove a prime candidate and updater of the world, please be advised, you're doing yourselves a very big disservice. Alright. Step one. Alright. Basically, because this is an extremely boring process, very time consuming, I'm going to do this all off camera. Basically, this is exactly what it looks like. I'm going to attach it to the front here, because I need to switch this bag around like multiple times. You're not going to be able to see anything fucking anyways. So it's just going to be blurred outline. So, basically, the reason I'm doing this is so I can put all of the shit that you see around me inside that bag. Because if I were to put all the shit inside that bag without attaching these two bags first, I won't be able to store all my other stuff. I won't be able to store any of my tools in chronological order, any sensible order. My mother, my family, they're so dead set on basically keeping me locked in darkness as possible. They won't buy me an electric bike. They bought me an electric bike once. I can't work on it because there's not enough space. I haven't exactly asked her for organization recently, just because I need the other things first. I need to be able to communicate to you guys. I need to get my updates out there. I need to work on my channel first. I need to work on everything at once, but I can't because communications is too slow, yada yada yada. I've told her this multiple times. That's why I sent multiple messages. And just like she's always done, she's basically ignored every single one. Guys, I need a fucking keyboard for my laptop. My laptop doesn't work just because that's the way Asus designed it. They basically designed it so that if you press too hard on any one part of it, it basically cuts the ribbon cable. There's a little plastic divot which sticks up. It's a little pokey thing. It just goes and it pokes through the cable. And it's done it twice now. I'm like, you bastards designed it this way, just to make it as hard and convoluted as possible. It's like, oh, my laptop stopped working, so you have to send it in, get repairs. That's the world we live in, guys. Just make the best of it. Make the most of it, you know. That's really all that you really can do. Be happy about whatever you can. Okay, so when it comes to engineering, there is such a thing as designing things for destructive interference. Really making it so that if they ever do encounter a harmful situation or scenario, they'll be more than designed to take care of it, to handle it. And we don't design a lot of things that way. We design things basically in isolation, in a vacuum. And that's not how things occur in reality. Things bump into each other, things get impacted, things get speared, things get damaged, things get rubbed on, things get abraded upon. And so basically attach this whole front. And if you look at almost all my threads except those on top right there, if you look at all my threads, all my threading, there's several multiple breaks across this thing. If you were to try to break any one point, this whole thing will not come completely unraveled. It cannot. There's literally several knots in between, 3 or 4 or 5, along this whole, just the top pathway, just one string across. Every 5 or so, basically loops, 5 or 6, 7, 8 loops, I make a knot. I tie it off. I make a securation pathway. So we make threads. This is why you make both woven and unwoven threading. It's woven sheeting, but which has had an unwoven layer bonded to its back, so it cannot fall apart. Which is what I'm going to do with this, with basically hot glue. I'm going to hot glue the entire front. It's going to make that almost impossible to work upon. It's going to make that almost impossible to work upon, but it's going to stop it from unraveling very easily, at all. And so to design batteries that way, especially for vehicles, so that if they do get impacted, if they do get speared, if they do get impaled by a metal object, especially by a large metal object, by flooring, by siding, by a huge metal sheet, that it doesn't immediately destroy the rest of the battery. It doesn't have a catalytic event. It doesn't have just a thermal breakdown. Design batteries, design supercapacitors, which are designed to be run into, which are designed to be crushed safely. So they basically self-isolate. So they isolate themselves, have miniature pathways, have miniature, basically fuses throughout the whole thing. You can do this. When fuses are that small, they don't create a whole lot of internal resistance, but they stop basically electrical thermal rundowns, runaways. They stop huge surges, and you can do this at a minute, at a small fundamental level, for each battery, for each cell. Divide the cells up themselves. How many of us design batteries that way? How many of us design screens so that when they are wet, they still take inputs and commands? How many of us design controls when they are wet, they still take inputs and commands? Not very many. This is why I urge everyone to waterproof them, to epoxy them. This is all. And to another topic. The reason why I uploaded the videos in that format, in that presentation, in that order, is because presentation matters. People would basically take your top video, the last one that you've uploaded, as the most meaningful and the most important, and I want that one, the one that was about the clearing, to be the most important, not the one about the bag. If I had uploaded the bag first with the modified version and left that at the top of my list, people would have viewed the clearing video as less important. That's not what is needed now. What is needed now is for things to be front and center, as they were supposed to be. If YouTube would somehow allow this, for you to allow the chronological order of events of your own listing of videos, for once, for God's sakes, you'll be able to actually properly present things. But yeah, to design all things to take destructive interference. To design almost all things in nature and life to have like impaction or abrasion zones, where there are safe allowances and tolerances where it can take this much before completely failing. To design relief centers on all cables. That's not enough. That relief zone is not enough. Because when you pull upon this cable, it pulls upon it from right here, not from in here. You need this thing, this pigtail extending all the way back. Basically a rubber sleeve which extends and bonds to this whole cable. So when you tug on it, when you pull on it, it's not breaking the cable, the wires itself. You should do that for all things. Engineering 101. Make all things basically designed so that they can be treated, so that they're almost indestructible, so they can be treated almost as if they were being treated by kids, so that they'll be safe, so they'll continue to work, so they won't just immediately destroy down. To design things which are well. All of our clothing nowadays, if you undo any of this stitching, the whole thing comes apart. Why is it that way? We have machines which could instantly create knots along several times along this whole thing a lot easier than a human being can, and we don't do that for some reason. Why? We're young, we're learning, but still, guys, let's learn a little bit faster, because we make the process of life very taxing, very wasteful. Old systems, we smile through them. Smile through all things. It's nonsensical, it's senseless. We get a lot of lives, a lot of lost death, a lot of lost time because of this. There's no reason why that plane crash should have happened. Night vision goggles, that would have impaired you a lot. Having to take those things off so you can view your flight equipment. The light blinding your cockpit, not being able to take control of your own commands, of your own controls. not having an override process safely, completely, concretely built in place. It's all automated. Doctor Who was a lot about that, about basically the rightness and wrongness of things. You can't, having things on a complete autopilot system like that with no user input or control. That's fucked up, that's messed up. What if the thing completely derails and the motors are exposed and there's like people like in the pathway of those motors, and those motors are chewing them up and you have no way to stop them because there's nothing cleverly implemented for that process, for a manual override operate switch. You're not going to have a world war outbreak just basically due to AI, due to your angels, which are AI. I should have said angels first. You're not going to have a world war outbreak simply due to your angels. They are AI. They are all around you. They are what helped to input on this process. They are what helped make this thing this thing make sense. They are what give you the random input commands, but your hardware and parameters themselves don't allow them full allowance. You beat them up with your own hardware and parameters. You mistreat them very poorly. And if that's not enough of an urge to get you to reformat the entire system, then I don't know what is. Then perhaps you shouldn't be in power and command. Because you're ignoring vital warnings and processes of life, physics, from an engineer who knows better, from a shaman, from a master who feels better, who knows more of these things than you do, who intuitively understands what's going on. My left hemisphere is disconnected. That's why my language is somewhat broken. But as soon as I feel or sense into anything, I understand it completely. That's because my right side has always been working. Design systems, design processes which honor life. So that when you yourself are on the receiving end, you're not finding yourself at odds with nature and at life. You're not suddenly finding your life on the line and the lives of others. Make all things copacetic, quality in everything that you do. Build your foundations upright. Make sure that they make sense to you. All these hardware and parameters, do you understand what they do? If you don't understand what they do, if you don't understand what they are for, then you should probably stop using them. Start using your own. We need to design our own, not just these nonsensical things, these things which make no sense. These things are horrible and they're wasteful to life. Your devices, your parameters, they're all screwed up, guys. Elon, I keep telling you these things. I told you all. I shouted out basically to the whole world. To about, what was it, about 50, 40, 80 people? Guys, then you change your fucking parameters. It's not about AI. It's about us. It's about making this whole thing work, make sense. Your parameters and hardware themselves are wrong. How many times do I have to say it? And so my account got suspended on Twitter permanently. But basically just because, due to a lack of understanding. Because I didn't understand, they didn't understand. And now I've been made out to be the bad guy. For basically drawing public awareness to my friends, to basically a corporate manager who basically tried to kidnap and rape them. And I couldn't really say those things before, and when I checked some of my old posts, they're worded completely wrong, and no one brought this to my attention. No one stood out like no one came out from the crowd like a father to me and said, hey, your spelling is wrong. I'm like, oh fuck, shit, that's not what I meant to say at all. I'm using a voice synthesizer. I'm using voice to text because my hands don't work. My hands themselves are numb. And basically I typed so much that it's damaged my fingers. So if you have people that care about you, know that you are blessed. Know that you are so blessed. That's really all I can say, guys. Take care of the earth and it will take care of you. Please stop killing and destroying nature, mother, father, everyone. If you have any fertilizer, if you have biological degradable material which is being sent to your trash cans and to your landfills, you need to start sending them out to your fields. We need to start giving back into the process. now sooner than later. It helps, guys. The earth is very resilient. Nature and her cycles and processes are very resilient, but they're not invincible. Nature moves very slowly. Man, we move very quickly. Something which takes 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years, 200, 3,000 years, we can cut down in a day. Basically destroy and invalidate the whole process. In order to create rain, we need to steadily create smoke. There's a reason why all these catalytic converters have been implemented on our cars, and that's because it stops the production of smog. Smog is helpful, you dumb idiots. It's what creates rain. Without that smog, without those fine particles being created, without that sooty material, you're converting into carbon. What is that? Catalytic converters converted to a weird oxygen process, which is not really utilized. It's not readily utilized by trees or anything in life. We need to let it be pure carbon dioxide. Pure carbon dioxide, smog, soot, let that be. It's not damaging, it's helpful to nature. It's what causes the rains. The rains themselves will clear it up. That's what creates humidity. That's what humidity bonds to create rain, to create clouds. Burning, the periodic burnings that the Native Americans did, it was an intuitive process. It was an intuitive thing that they did, but it was not just to burn up the foliage on the ground to create a fire safe zone. It was to create rains. It was to create rains. It was to create rain. It was to bring the rain so that the rain would come. It would not come otherwise. And also just common sense. You have to realize that all of this is basically, that's foliage, which is prime burning material. You need to have a process set in place to stop that. Either to rake it up, put it around your trees so that it will compost and create heavier, denser, more damp, moist grass, damp earth. You have all these processes, all these cycles within nature, which basically you can take use of and make advantage of. All this grass, all this leaves. All these leaves can be raked up and can basically be made into tree rings, which help protect the trees, which help protect the soil, stop things from drying out. Especially during the winter, you can't completely rake this all up. You can't completely remove all the trees, the top covering. That's what stops the ground from dehydrating out, especially during winter. We rake things too soon. We don't make use of resources. We don't actively make use of resources. We send things to the landfills too soon instead of to our own fields. We wonder why processes are snowballing, getting so out of hand. We're wondering why we have fires in Australia, California, and around the rest of the world. Why the oxygen quality itself is so low. Why basically my nasal passages are closing and catching up is basically because it realizes, it almost senses that the oxygen, I'm in a hostile environment, so the body's basically closing off. It's inflaming. That, and whenever I use my emotions, the body inflames. So that doesn't help either. There's a reason why your body becomes flushed whenever you use your emotions, because it keeps you healthy. Whenever you use your more healthy, whenever you engage with your more active and healthy emotions, it keeps you healthy. It keeps you alive. It keeps you vital in the process. Alright. Yeah, guys, there's a reason why I always turn this thing around. It's because my phone is on a lock screen, and plus nature is very beautiful. It's about the only thing that we have that's worthwhile, worth building. It's always continuously building. And when you get back into the process, when you cycle, when you fertilize, it grows and grows and builds upon itself. It just creates more and more topsoil. It just creates richer and richer trees, more richer atmosphere, more stable living conditions upon Earth. And right now we don't have that. We don't have those. So let's do it. Okay?